welcome back, everybody, to Just One More Level podcast. I am your co-host, Christian.
And I am your co-host, John.
And today we have played a little bit of Silent Hill 2.
Yes. Silent Hill 2.
Another game that we covered a little bit of before. Well, the series that we covered a little bit of before. Obviously, we did Silent Hill, I don't even remember how long ago at this point. That wasn't last Halloween, was it?
It wasn't in the Halloween special, but it was during October last year.
Wow, yeah. A whole year, really? It doesn't feel like it's been that long since I played Silent Hill 1. That is insane.
Crazy.
How did you end up playing any more of Silent Hill 1? I know that when we discussed that one that you were really enjoying the series and wanted to play more.
I did. I played it on stream twice.
Nice.
I made it about 4 hours into the game. I really enjoyed it. I didn't get back into it for a while, and then I haven't gone back yet.
Right. Well, I mean, hey, things happen.
So I never beat it, but I was excited to play this one because this one was actually the first Silent Hill game that I ever played.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. My friend Craig, shout out to Craig, has had this collection that we played, the Silent Hill HD collection on PS3 for a long time, and I had heard of the series and always wanted to try it out. So about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe, we played a little bit of this on the PS3, and we made it about to where I made it this time around. I made it like just to the apartment building, which is the first major area this time, and last time Craig and I made it through the apartment building, and I still remembered most of that, just not the events leading up to it. So I have about 2.5 hours of experience altogether.
Oh, okay.
With
not
the
too much
gameplay
more
on
than what
this
we
one.
normally cover with these games here on the podcast. This is my first time playing Silent Hill 2. This is only the third Silent Hill game I've ever played, actually, because I played one, obviously, and then I played one, I believe it was also on the PS2. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a retelling of one of the other games, and then it may have been this one even, to be honest, because I'm pretty sure you were looking for your wife in that one.
Okay.
But they changed a fair bit of it, though, so yeah. And then now 2. But kind of, I don't know, we talk obviously a little bit about games when we're not on stream. We both kind of felt that this one didn't quite stand up to the first, at least in the first hour or so.
No, which is weird because I from what I understand, this and the third one are considered like the best in the franchise by the fans, which is weird to me. I enjoyed the first one a lot more than this one, I think. Maybe I'm just not that far into it yet, I'm not sure what I'm missing. But
and it may just be one of those sort of things where you need to get like a little bit farther into it for it to really start to take off or something like that.
I guess maybe
it's that.
Yeah.
But do you want to give us a very quick rundown of what Silent Hill is all about, in case somebody hasn't watched our first video or has never played one of the games before?
I barely know. I've never finished the first game, so I'm not actually sure why the town is sunk into darkness and goes back and forth between a rust world and the normal world. But that is what happens in Silent Hill. There is some kind of cult at work. I know that much, and I know that the environments that you're in switches between a nightmare rust world and the normal spooky world, which is spooky enough as it is. So in the first game, you play a father who is looking for his daughter. I'm not sure why you were going to Silent Hill or why you were close by, but you were, and you lose your daughter. So you run around looking for her, and you solve puzzles and play survival horror as you're doing that. In this game, you play another character that is going back to Silent Hill, someplace they used to visit, I guess, looking for his wife because he got a clue that she might be here, which is similar actually to Resident Evil 7, now that I think about it.
I haven't played 7, so I can't really comment on that.
Yeah.
But
that's
I think it's important to note, though, that the character's wife is dead. She has died, and then he mysteriously receives a letter written in her handwriting saying to look for her at their special place in Silent Hill. And as far as we've gotten to the game, we don't really know exactly what that special place is or anything like that. The main character, I believe, mentions at some point that the whole town could be their special place. So really no idea where to look. But somewhere in Silent Hill, his wife may be alive, which obviously makes no sense, but that's kind of the driving force behind you facing all of these dark, twisted creatures and trying to solve all of these puzzles and things like that. Gameplay-wise, there are very little differences that I've noticed between Silent Hill 1 and 2. You're still essentially just solving puzzles. You have very similar style tank controls. The version we played, which is the HD collection for PS3, has a couple options that I don't know if were in the original or not. There are, 3D style movement and 2D style movement, I think they called it.
3D is the tank controls, which I thought was weird, but the 2D style is what you would normally expect. You move move the direction, you move your analog stick, for instance, towards the direction that you want your player to progress on screen, rather than holding your analog stick forward to make your player character move forward, regardless of what direction they are going on the screen.
Which is a bit of a problem, since this game, while the camera isn't as stationary as it is in Silent Hill 1 or early Resident Evil games, it still has a lot of fixed camera angles. And so whenever you transition between different screens, different cameras, suddenly whatever direction you're pressing will now, if you're on the 2D controls, will now move you in a completely different direction than you were moving in before. So I personally ended up going right back to the 3D normal tank controls.
Me too. Yeah. I feel like it's meant to be played that way. So it was clearly built to be played that way. I think that might be a retroactive change for the HD collection. I know that they did that for the Resident Evil remake on the Switch. I don't know if that was present in the GameCube version of that, but the Resident Evil 1 remake on the Switch had an option for you to turn that off. But I always just play with the tank control, because once you get used to it, it's not as bad as you think it is. It's very stiff and awkward when you're not used to playing something like that. But when you're in the middle of a game like this and you're used to those kind of games, it's just natural.
Right.
You just you move forward to go forward, and that's what it is. But other than that, so one of the other features about this game is that you can choose the type of voice acting that you want to hear. They redid all the voice acting for the second game.
That's right. I forgot that was an option. Yeah.
You can play with updated voices or original voices. I realize that the updated voices are probably far superior, but I wanted to hear some of that original voice acting, and it did not disappoint. It's just
I kind of wish I would have, because I did use the updated ones. And my notes, I have 3 main complaints. And they all have to do with sound design. So the breathing sound, like the heavy breathing after you run around for a little bit, the character gets a little bit worn out. He does some heavy breathing. Sounds wrong. Like it does not sound like breathing at all. It's nasty sounding. And then there's like little creatures that skitter around on the ground. I'm guessing it's meant to be like some sort of bug or something like that can run into you. But it doesn't. I don't know how to describe what it sounds like. That's one
of my favorite parts about Silent Hill is the weird old school like PS1 sounding sound effects, because they sound so off. They sound so creepy. You know?
And I don't know if they were updated. Those things specifically were updated for this version or not, but they are definitely bad. Very bad.
So, I love the gimmick of the radio. I think the way that you find the radio in this one is kind of silly. Yeah. But the gimmick of the radio and having that get louder and more staticky as you approach villains that can hurt you. It's almost like they're not making the sound themselves. It kind of reinforces the world is shifting back and forth. Like, you can't hear these things make noise in the regular world unless it's through that radio, but they make noise in the Rust world. So I thought that was kind of cool. That's just a little bit more Silent Hill in general.
You've played a little bit more of this one than I have, so maybe you will know. In my time playing, I never transitioned back to the normal Silent Hill. It was always the twisted version, because unlike the first game where you arrive in town and it's normal, this one you arrive outside of town, and while it's very foggy, everything seems normal. By the time you get into town, it's already the twisted Rust version of the world. So does it still shift back and forth?
It's not the twisted Rust version. When you get into the world, when you get into the town, it's just the foggy.
No, because as soon as you get into town, you're running through town, and within seconds of you running into town, you see blood on the ground and you follow a creature.
Yeah, but that's not Rust Silent Hill, not yet. Rust Silent Hill, on the outside, when you're outside in the Rust world, it's 100% black dark. There's no fog. It's all black and shadow. And every building is rusty and like, metal grates and things like that. Like, there's no regular architecture to be found anymore.
See, so that's something a little more unique to Silent Hill 2 then, because in Silent Hill, the first one, there's no evil creatures or anything unless you're in the twisted version of the town.
Yeah, there is. In the first one, when you're running around, before you don't transfer to the Rust world until you get to go to the school, because you're in the fog world in the first part of Silent Hill, and then you have the scripted event where you go down the alley and the world shifts into Rust world and everything goes completely black and you see the thing hanging up on the fence, and then you get attacked and you die, and then you wake up in the diner, and when you wake up in the diner, everything's back to foggy, but you still have to fight creatures. Like, you fight the dogs and you fight the armless guys and the pterodactyls, and then you progress a little bit and you get to go to the school, and when you're in the school, you do some puzzle solving while it's still foggy world, and then it shifts again into straight up blackness and rust and all grotesque manner of horror, and it's so much worse. And then after you beat the boss, it goes back to Foggy World.
Okay, so I guess I just don't have enough experience with that blacked out version of the world then.
Yeah,
because in the time that I played Silent Hill 1, that only happened the one time. So in my mind, the twisted version.
You didn't get to see the twisted version again. I don't think in your playthrough of the first one. So because I'm thinking like what I got to play. I'm confusing that with what we played for the podcast. I think we stopped playing for the podcast right around the school. Yeah. Okay. So you never got to go back to the Rust world. No. Yeah. Believe it or not, this is as twisted as it is. It gets worse.
Okay. Interesting.
So how far did you make it into the apartment? Did you explore the apartment building at all?
Yeah. So I made it to the apartment, and I made it through the clock puzzle. Okay. And that was the last thing that I did, was solve the clock puzzle and made it on to the other side and save. And speaking on that, though, there was one small problem that I had where, because like I explored the entire floor and I couldn't find anything else to do. So I just ended up exploring every nook and cranny that I could find. And then finally an event triggered. And then I was like, now what? Because it didn't unlock anything new or whatever. So I ended up just having to explore every room again in that stupid apartment building. And eventually one of the places that I had went to previously had now changed. There was no real indication that anything had changed, though. So that was one little gripe that I had about it. I am perfectly fine with backtracking in games, but it would have just been nice to know that, something had shifted somewhere, that something had changed somewhere to get a little bit more of a hint of such a thing. Now that I know that that's a thing in the game, like I would be looking for it a little bit more. But at the time, I didn't realize that was a thing that was going to happen. So I was very confused, very lost after doing my first run through. So that was the only other real gripe that I had with this game versus like the Silent Hill 1, which to be fair, I didn't get particularly far into Silent Hill 1. Once you start exploring like the school and stuff like that, maybe that same sort of thing happens there. I'm not sure.
A couple of times I mean, shameless self-promotion, if you want to go watch my VOD, you could see how confused I was, but I got pretty confused a couple times. There was one time where I looked up like a clue for the puzzle because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing wrong. I feel like I'm doing the right thing, and I was doing the right thing and not the right order, I think. So it was like one of those kind of things for one of the puzzles. I think it was the piano puzzle. No, the piano puzzle I was able to figure out on my own. That's right. I think it was something else with clocks or time or something like that. Anyway, it gets a little confusing, but at least you can set the puzzle difficulty on this version of the game.
I wonder how that would really change it. Like the only real puzzle that I personally saw was the clock one, right? Yeah. And I am curious what setting the riddle difficulty to easy or hard, how would it really change that?
I know that in the first game, because for this playthrough, I played about 50 minutes, and that got me to the apartment. I was really slogging through the first part of this game. I don't know what I was doing, but I was just wandering the streets, and I made it to where I was supposed to make it because I could kind of tell the game wanted me to go there, but I had missed something that I was supposed to get along the way. So whatever I needed to pick up wasn't letting me pick it up. So I had to backtrack, find the clue I was supposed to find in the first place, and then go back. It was the near the apartment building. There's a dead body with a key on it, and I was there. I was at that body because I figured that's where I was supposed to go, but the key wasn't there. So I had to go back and find a clue in a motorhome, and then go back to that dead body, and then I was able to get the key. So I don't know what was up with that, but after all that backtracking and everything, I made it to the apartment, and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna put this down for now because I have a basic idea of what goes on in the apartment. I know that it's dark. You explore the apartment. There's a lot of mannequins. Something about a garbage chute, and then
I didn't figure out the garbage chute thing or anything like that yet, but I did like some of the elements of it though. Like I mentioned, the things changing unexpectedly, and while I didn't like the not being sure that I had to revisit areas, no indication of what areas I should be researching after doing other things and whatnot. While that aspect kind of annoyed me a tiny bit, I did like that, there were changes though. That was neat, like going back into the same place and now the TV's turned on and there's static playing and there's a dead body in front of it, or now there's a light on here with some things shifted around that weren't before, or a creature that definitely wasn't on the other side of that those bars is now there just kind of staring at me as I'm walking up the hallway or whatever. Those little changes help add to the psychological horror, I feel like, right? Because it's a little bit different whenever you revisit it. I just wish that there was more indication of where to go, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I think basically the main complaint I had with this game is it wasn't new enough for me. I don't feel like it was upgraded enough from the first game. Like, it feels like a lot of the same. It feels like another story in the chapter of Silent Hill, which is fine, because it plays a lot like the first game. But when you're playing the first game, you're experiencing a lot of this stuff for the first time. It's the shock, right? You know, you go in and it's like, oh, it's all foggy. What's going on? And then you see some crazy stuff and you're like, what is going on? Like, it just keeps getting worse, you know what I mean? And then you get into like the Rust World territory and you're like, this is hellish, you know? And it just kind of keeps ramping up until that first boss. I don't know if you've ever seen the first boss from the first Silent Hill game, but oh my god.
Not that I can think of, at least.
Yeah, it's Crazy Town. It kind of looks like the Demogorgon, but on 4 legs.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, it has one of those like big pedal mouths that open up and get you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I was like, this is intense. This is insane. I
can get into it.
There's a lot of scares, you know. There's a lot of big jumpy scares. But in this one, when I was encountering a lot of those same things, it kind of felt like they were leaning on the same things that got you from the first one, but they didn't get me as hard this time because I was like, okay, I'm back. This is Silent Hill.
Back. It's Silent Hill again. And I was thinking, I was trying to give it the benefit of the doubt and being like, well, it being more of the same wouldn't be so bad. Like, whenever you go a long time between releases of a game, sometimes that's all you really need, right? Is basically the same mechanics, just a fresh coat of paint and a new storyline.
Fresh coat of paint, yeah.
But I did look up the release date, and it seems like back then they were doing a Silent Hill game roughly every 2 years. So, if I had played them back to back, I may have been a little bit upset. Now, again, granted, only played the first hour or so of each game, so maybe they differentiate themselves enough in the later game that I wouldn't be that bothered by it. But I concede that your criticism there seems valid. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like the upgrade to a new generation should feel like a real upgrade. You know.
Yeah.
Like, the assets are prettier. You know, it's cleaner.
Than
the PS1. It's not as blocky or anything, but it's like, I don't know. You know, you gotta put on a suit and tie for me, Silent Hill. You gotta impress me. You gotta bring it. Like, what?
Put on a suit and tie for me. Yes.
What are you up to? You know, why is my first weapon a wooden plank again? Come on.
I'll tell you, really, what I think Silent Hill 2 was missing for me personally compared to the first one was the interaction with other characters that aren't just demonic or twisted or whatever, right? You have that very short interaction with the lady in the graveyard right outside of town before you actually make it into Silent Hill. And then I did meet a little girl for about 3 seconds. Like, never actually get to interact with her or anything. She just she moves a key away from where you're trying to get it from, and like, that was it. And in the first game there wasn't a ton of direct character interaction, but I feel like there was a bit more, right?
There was, yeah, because you had the cop that you're kind of partnered with, and I think she comes back later in the game. I'm not sure. She does in the movie. I love the movie, the first movie. The second movie's garbage, but
it's been so long since I've seen the first that I can't even remember it, and then the second I've never actually watched. So
yeah, I love the first one. In the first movie, it's a female protagonist, but it follows the same storyline from what I can tell.
Gotcha.
A lot of the same story beats from the first game get hit in the first movie, which is very satisfying. Because it's really cool to see something that you like from the game get transformed and put on screen. You know, that's really interesting. And I'm wondering if the plot of the first movie ends up being the plot of the first game. Basically, in the movie, in case anybody hasn't seen it, spoilers, I suppose, for a movie from 2006. The town is culty. There's a cult in the town, and they mess up this little girl because they think that she's devil or something. Whatever they're worshiping, it's not good, and it's from an alternate dimension. So it forms a rift in the town. Some kind of crazy thing that they do. I'm not remembering the details, but some kind of crazy thing they do with this cult forms a rift between realities in this town, which is why it slips in and out, because the town is on a rift. So kind of sci-fi a little bit, while also kind of supernatural.
Positive. I kind of hope, because like one of my biggest criticisms of the Resident Evil movies, for instance, is that they just don't follow the games at all, really.
Yeah, except for the new one. I'm excited.
Oh, the animated series. Yeah. Is it animated or is it live action? Is it live action? I only saw like a still image of it, but
there's two.
Oh, there's two different films coming out.
There's a new animated series coming find out, and there's a theatrical film releasing this November.
See
I'll send you the trailer for it.
Yeah, you'll have to, because I'm not sure which one I saw. Like I said, I just saw a still image from one of them. I'm not positive which one it was.
It looks amazing.
And I couldn't tell if it was very good CG or if it was live action. But
I'm not sure what you might have seen. Did you see like one of the lickers? Because that's in the live action movie.
No, it was just like a still screen of like a Stars member or something like that. But regardless, so I kind of hope that the movie follows the same sort of story beats as the games do.
Right.
But from what I can remember from the one Silent Hill game that I actually beat, which was a retelling of one of the first 3 games, I believe, I don't remember there being any sort of like culty stuff going on. So I'm not sure if maybe that was like specific to one game or if they did just write a whole new story for the Silent Hill movie. I'm not sure. But back to Silent Hill 2 though. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it. If you really enjoyed any of the other Silent Hill games, at least Silent Hill 1, then I see no reason not to recommend this one. Just don't expect it to be too much different, right? It seems like you are just playing Silent Hill.
Another part 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Part 2 versus Silent Hill 2. Yeah. That's what it feels like to me.
Very much. Yeah, almost. Like it could have been a DLC or something if it had come out later instead of, being the generation it was on. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
As far as whether playing just one more level or not, I mean, I certainly would. I did not dislike my time with the game at all, but I would definitely beat Silent Hill 1 first before I came back to this one. I know the stories aren't like directly connected or anything like that, but I did just enjoy Silent Hill 1 a tad bit more. So
yeah, this game experience actually got me thinking a little bit, Christian. I don't know if this is good for the episode or good for the stream, but maybe it's time we start putting our money where our mouth is and actually play one more level of some of the games.
I mean, that is something that we have discussed doing before, is actually doing like an actual review podcast where we beat a game.
The whole thing.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe we will. Maybe Silent Hill will be one of the first ones that we do for that.
Yeah. Maybe that's
mark that down as the third podcast that we struggle to ever put out episodes on. But
we need sponsors, folks. Come on.
Make this a full-time job for us, and we will do 4 podcasts, make video games, and original YouTube content for you. Okay, let's go.
Get on. ExpressVPN is sponsoring everybody these days. Come on.
Surely they want to sponsor our tiny podcast with a total of 20 views an episode.
I'll start using ExpressVPN. I'll do it. I don't have a VPN currently. Other than the corporate
sorry, I'm all
VPN
about PIA, man. I'm all about PIA, private internet access. That's where it's at.
Is VPN not that? Is that bad? You don't support VPNs?
No. PIA is private internet access. It's another VPN. It's a competitor. The ExpressVPN.
Oh, I see. Okay,
it's the one that I personally use. Can you do the Netflix it's thing? Possible. They don't have as many regions that support that as ExpressVPN does, but I don't use it for that reason. I usually use it because like at work I'll be restricted from certain web pages or whatever, or Comcast, my internet provider, sometimes has DNS errors, and there's no way to browse websites because Comcast does not let you change your DNS server anymore. So my only way around that is using a VPN to access like a site that I may want to get on or whatever. So I use it for various reasons, but PIA has just been my preferred one for a while now. But this isn't sponsored. I don't know how this became a VPN review.
It is not. But... I remember proxy websites.
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. Those were fun. I remember kids
those
using
are fine, like if you're just trying to get around like a work blocking you from something or whatever.
Like a basic firewall.
But they offer no privacy at all. Whatever data you're sending through that proxy, they have full access to. So it's very insecure. But like if you are a school child or a child at school trying to play, addictinggames.com or YouTube, and your school doesn't let you, then that's like fine, whatever.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty much all it's for. But anyway, we would both play just one more level of Silent Hill 2.
Yes,
and maybe look out in the future for us finishing Silent Hill. I know I'd personally love to finish Silent Hill on stream. I'd love to finish playing the game. I had a lot of fun doing that. So let us know. Let us know in the comments.
And just a quick shout out for Jonathan here. I mean, we always talk about having the other things that we do and where you can follow us and whatnot. And it's always down below in the description of the videos and the about section of the podcast and whatnot, of course. But just quick shout out to his Twitch channel. Neither one of us do solo streams too often, but you know where to find me. It's right here on this channel. But Jonathan, what's your Twitch name again?
I am the Dorseman. I am the Dorseman on Twitch and on YouTube. You can come and watch actually the most recent videos that I think I have on my channel, other than my time lapse of doing our intro sequence for the podcast. podcast are my Silent Hill VODs and stream highlights. I did like little 15-minute video compilations of stream highlights from the 2 VODs because I streamed for quite a while. It was like 2 or 3 hours each time. So yeah, come and check it out.
Yeah, go check that out. Support Jonathan as well.
Support me.
Yeah, do it. Sponsor Jonathan.
Yeah, do it. Come on. What are you doing? Anyway.
So but I think that's all the time we have for Silent Hill, right?
It is. Yes. We told you where you can find us in the description below the video or on your podcast provider of choice. And we always like to end with a thank you for watching and supporting the channel. And we always like to say that you don't have to watch us, but you do, and we appreciate it. And that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode. If you're on stream, we will be doing Resident Evil 4. And if you're watching on YouTube or listening on your podcast provider of choice, hopefully Resident Evil 4 will be out soon for you to view on there. But bye-bye for now, y'all.
Bye.